I don't think I think maybe a lot of people kind of overestimated, and I know this is something Cenk Uygur said, and I'm not saying I'm talking about Cenk specifically, that, when he gets in, he's going to respond to the will of the people. People
Right.
are pissed off about the cutting of Social Security, and they're still doing it. A lot of his base are pissed at Doge going too far. He's not responding to them. I don't think he cares. I really think that it is the same thing that we see from the Democratic Party, but it is accelerated. So I'm not trying to do a false equivalency here. Everything that was buttressed by the Democratic Party, we've seen it all buttressed by them, but this is like the final stretch here.
Okay, so when all those people, when he pisses off all those people, because then Peter and I have talked about this like amongst ourselves and a lot, but so now he's really pissing off the red people. And the red people are armed, and veterans and armed, and the red people are not going to just take it like the Democrats do. So that's why I say he's facilitating it, because every single one of those things he's doing is creating another Luigi Mangione. Every single one of those things is making more people with nothing to lose. So that is essentially, and now he's doing it to the red team. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, because those people, they'll fight back.
Yeah, how long can he keep blaming migrants for everything when he's the one that's cutting people's Social Security?
Exactly.
And I think it's also important to note why this is happening, Jen. I know we don't have to really dig into it too deep, but we did address the fact that the Democratic Party is currently sitting at its lowest approval rating ever measured, going back decades and decades and decades. And that is why Trump doesn't have any reason to care. There is no pushback. He basically is operating in many ways as a king. And so he could just do what he wants because there is no real opposition. And you could blame, well, there are judges this, judges that. You allowed all of the corporate entities to take over our judicial system for decades and decades. Again, Trump is just a symptom who has walked into an opportunity where he actually knows how to use this completely broken system to his advantage. That's it.
Well, we're old enough to remember when Obama didn't seat a bunch of judges and Trump was able to go in and seat them all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very inconvenient to have to bring up the past of things that the liberal class doesn't want you to talk about. Well, let's see what they have to say about this.
Good morning. Welcome Inside Politics Sunday. I'm Manu Raj. First up this morning, a brand new exclusive CNN poll that paints a brutal reality for Democrats as they struggle to mount a unified opposition to President Trump.
Good luck
Americans' favorable views of the Democratic Party's brand are at a record low, just 29%. That's compared to 36% for Republicans. It is the lowest ever recorded for Democrats in CNN polling going back more than 30 years.
And yet, and again, this is where it fascinates me that I seem to be pointing this out to people when I am so mathematically challenged. People seem surprised when I say, yeah, we've seen our last national Democratic president from this party. They're bleeding numbers. They cannot. How are they going to have more numbers to get more votes if they have less people? I don't understand how they can ever come back.
15% left. 15%. And we've been watching this because I know that we talked about this at Brand New Congress. We talked about this when you were running, but they've been bleeding people from the party registering independent. Now 2/3 of the country, and both parties have been, let's not, both parties have been losing support, but now 2/3 of the country are registered independent. So that leaves like 1/4 of the country, and then, less than 1/4 of the country are the fringe, and the fringe are now the two parties. But the Democrats lost 15% enrollment during this last election cycle. 15%.
Yeah.
And that is incredible. When you really think about it, I mean, people like 15%. Do you understand what type of a number that is? Do you understand how many millions of voters that is?
Yeah. Well, in Florida, and I know Florida is, now we're just saying we're full on red state. That's fine. But Republicans outnumber Dems 20-1 here. 20-1. So it's like when you're seeing numbers like that, and yes, there are more no parties than even Republicans for sure. That's the biggest block. But the point is, so there's 20 more Republicans to each Democrat, and then there's even more no parties. So the point is, when your numbers are like that, you're going to only exist in a few places like California and wherever that you have enough population that's going to support your nonsense, because the vast majority of independent people are not going to all of a sudden come around to Coke Light. We don't need them. They offer nothing. The Republicans have their niche. The Democrats have nothing, and a very small group of elitist white liberals and some of their toadies that do their work for them running around like they actually offer something different when they don't. And I think more people see that.
No. You know something else really stupid? This was cracking me up, but articles came out, like, we know that they bled this many voters, right? Well, articles came out the same day I read the article saying that they lost 15% of support. The same day a poll came out that they're shifting right. Mm-hmm. And they didn't even explain that it's because they're bleeding their voter base. They're like, the Democratic Party is shifting right. I'm like, that's not what's happening. You're losing support. And they're like, they took the right tact because obviously they're shifting. Well, why didn't you win then? Yeah. Why did you lose 15% of your base? And yeah, you're going to poll people. They're going to be more neocon because that's what you've got left. It's not that they shift right. And then secondly, they left 65% of seats uncontested down ballot and 80% in some states like Georgia, Kentucky, West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, like Appalachia, Midwest. They left like states that used to be blue. They abandoned the 50-state strategy in the early 2000s, and this year was one of the worst with, 80%, but 65% of GOP seats down ballot were uncontested this year or last year.
People got to get paid, Z, don't you know? That's a big part of it. And you worked in it, so you know there are people who are just in it for the cash grab. And my God, if that Kamala campaign wasn't the all-time cash grab, if there ever was one. We'll finish
over $500 million
to consultants.
$1 billion staffing. Yeah, but no, more than $500 million was spent on staffing. 100 and something day campaign.
Amazing.
Seriously.
Got to get on that.
Know why their party is dying. That's why.
We should have created a firm, made the money, and then spent it all on organizing.
Smart.
You can see the party's numbers dropping a staggering 20 points in just 4 years. The CNN SRSR's poll also found 57% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters are more interested in seeing their party leaders stop the GOP agenda, compared to 42% who are more interested in cutting bipartisan deals. It is a big shift from where the party stood at the start of Trump's first term in 2017. Now, this survey was taken before this week's tumultuous battle over funding the government, which resulted in one of the ugliest intra-party Democratic disputes in years, and left many in the party lobbying furious attacks at Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, who ultimately reversed course and let a GOP bill funding the government become law in order to avert a shutdown. Now a bitter round of finger-pointing is taking shape after Democrats failed to get a single concession from the GOP, despite having their first piece of leverage to fight back against Trump. Now the big question, where does a party in deepening turmoil and in open warfare go from here?
Nowhere!
Toilet! Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
The way of the Whigs, that's where they go.
That's what Jen's been saying. Way of the Whigs.
Yeah, they're gone.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think we actually, and I've said it, we've seen our last Democratic president of this incarnation of the Democratic Party, which isn't to say that it will always be this incarnation of the Democratic Party, but this neoliberal corporate Clinton-esque party that is what it is, even though they want to stick people like David Hogue as sort of like make it seem like it's a new thing now. Same shit. Can't put enough lipstick on that pig. But until it's not that, this party, I don't see how they're going to win another national election.